In the early 1960s, the world marveled as the Soviet Union dominated the space race. Sputnik. Yuri Gagarin. The USSR seemed unstoppable, but what if I told you there were missions that never made it to the history books? Stories of cosmonauts who were launched into space and never returned. Lost transmissions. Hidden failures. Welcome to the unseen Soviet mission secrets buried by time and politics. Today, we uncover the darkest corners of the Soviet space program. From the Lost Cosmonaut Theory to the disastrous N-1 rocket launches, and everything the USSR tried to bury. Are these forgotten missions myth, or terrifying reality? The truth behind the Soviet space program begins now. 1. The Cold War and space race. The Cold War wasn't just a political battle, it was a race to the stars. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union vied for dominance in space. In 1957, the USSR shocked the world with Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite. And just 4 years later, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth. It was a moment of triumph for the Soviet Union, and a powerful symbol of its technological prowess. But the Soviet space program was also a program of secrecy. Successes were paraded to the world, while failures were erased, sometimes along with the people involved. 2. The Lost Cosmonaut Theory. This brings us to one of the most haunting conspiracies of the space race, the lost cosmonauts. The theory suggests that before Gagarin's historic flight in 1961, the Soviet Union launched earlier cosmonauts. But they never made it back alive. The Judica-Cordelia brothers. In 1960, 2 amateur radio operators, Achille and Giovanni Judica-Cordelia, claimed to intercept strange signals from space near their listening post in Italy. One recording was particularly chilling. A voice, weak and distorted, was heard gasping, "I am hot. I am hot. Do you hear me?" The brothers believed this was a cosmonaut burning up upon re-entry. The USSR didn't lead any such mission, but skeptics argue, why would amateur radio operators pick up signals at all? Did the Soviets send someone into space and cover it up? Valentin Bondarenko and early test failures. One confirmed cover-up is the story of Valentin Bondarenko. A 24-year-old Soviet pilot, Bondarenko died in a tragic accident during training in 1961. While inside a high-oxygen chamber, a fire broke out, and Bondarenko suffered fatal burns. The Soviet Union concealed his death for decades. If they hid this tragedy, could they have hidden something far bigger? This raises a chilling possibility. Were there cosmonauts who perished before Gagarin's flight, unofficial missions doomed to fail? 3. The N-1 rocket, the Soviet moon disaster. While the United States put astronauts on the moon with the Apollo program, the Soviet Union had its own plan, the N-1 rocket. This massive rocket was supposed to take cosmonauts to the lunar surface. But the N-1 program was plagued with problems. Between 1969 and 1972, the Soviet Union launched 4 N-1 rockets. All of them failed spectacularly. The second launch ended in the largest non-nuclear explosion in history. The rocket detonated just seconds after liftoff, obliterating the launch pad. The N-1 failures were so catastrophic that the Soviet Union abandoned their moon ambitions. But for decades, these disasters were kept secret from the world. 4. Why the secrecy? The USSR's information control. The Soviet Union's space program was as much about politics as it was about science. Successes were used as propaganda to showcase Soviet superiority. Failures, on the other hand, were seen as embarrassing and even dangerous. If a mission failed, it was often erased. If a cosmonaut died, their existence was denied. For the USSR, failure was never an option. But in their quest to control information, they may have buried stories of incredible courage and devastating loss. 5. Legacy. The truth behind the unseen missions. Today, Many of the secrets of the Soviet space program are beginning to emerge. Declassified documents have shed light on once hidden tragedies, while conspiracy theories like the Lost Cosmonauts continue to intrigue and haunt us. Whether myth or truth, the unseen Soviet missions remind us of the incredible risks taken during the early days of space exploration and the human cost of the space race. So, what do you think? Were there truly lost cosmonauts? Or are these just Cold War myths fueled by secrecy and speculation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the unseen Soviet space program, hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell for more stories from history's hidden corners.